So I want to transition over now to Jeff Korgen. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Now you get to be the panel. I'm Jeff Korgen. I am a church consultant and one of the planners of the conference. And this last part of the program, we have some words of inspiration coming from the deputy mayor in ascending forth. But we wanted to take a chance to have you think a moment and share, when do you get it right? When do you welcome, protect, promote, integrate? When has this happened well in your organization, your parish, your charitable organization? When does it happen? When do we get it right? And I'd like you to take just 10 minutes now at your table, and if you're at one of the sparse tables over there, come on over and join another. We got some room on table 9, it looks like. And let's just take 10 minutes. Think about your success stories. Don't hide your light under a bushel basket. Share it. So we'll take 10 minutes. When do we get it right? When do we welcome, protect, promote, and integrate successfully in our organizations? Who's got a best practice around welcome? How about protect? Who's got a good one for protect? Yes, go ahead. Can you say that again in the mic?
I'm from Mercy Center in the South Bronx, and we've always practiced welcome, so we have coffee and tea in our waiting rooms. We don't call them waiting rooms, they're gathering rooms. So we've managed to continue it during the times when we've been serving more and more people. So that's one of our ways of welcoming.
Welcoming. So hospitality in gathering rooms where people are encouraged to build community, not wait. Great. Any others under welcome? Okay, how about protect? Got a best practice around protect. Yes, ma'am.
In the organization that I'm at now, what we focus on is education, advocacy, and networking. And this is, of course, directed to the legal service providers that are, giving those direct services to the immigrant community. So I think, of course, like education and advocacy would be a huge yes, for protection. And then also helping build capacity in those nonprofit organizations that offer those legal services. Because there's so many individuals that don't have the access to a private attorney because they don't have the funds. So those nonprofits are vital to those communities. So us supporting those organizations in building capacity will only protect them so that they don't go into this legal system without knowing what they're getting into.
Thank you. Good one. Anyone else under protect? Okay, how about promote? Promote or advocate? Anybody got a best practice? Yes, sir.
How do you service about doing as much as possible to let the current story be told, right? It's not coming. I'm sorry. For us, it's one of the things that is making sure that it's the immigrant story that is being told, and that it's not about us, but about them, and making sure that in doing that, we use our ability to pass the mic and then get out of the way, right? So we want to give them the microphone. So if we have that opportunity to get in front, whether it's an elected official or anyone else who is a decision maker, but then let that story be told from them, not from us.
Thank you, Richard. Anyone else under promote? Do you have anything else you want to share? Best practice, something that really worked for you? Got another one.
So in this table, we had a couple conversations. It kind of goes into promote, I suppose. What's the old saying? The perfect is the enemy of the good? That's it. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Well, in our case, especially when crisis is in our communities, at our feet, people are here, needs are there. We could wait till we're blue in the face to get perfection, but perfection is never there. Act. So just respond, and what I said is, however imperfect, whatever we have to tweak afterwards, so be it. We will learn and we will tweak. But people that we serve are thankful when we're there and we're able to provide whatever we can provide, how little we can provide. In those cases, I've received many thank yous just by virtue of being able to. And then, like I said, we go back and it's like, we should have thought about this, we should have thought about that. We can tweak it. But we don't know it usually until after we've already started it. So many times the lesson is for somebody who likes to plan and overplan and overthink to act. Let's make it happen, and then let's see what we need to do.
Great point. And isn't it true that we're pretty hard on ourselves? I mean, we're harder on ourselves than we are on society. So that's a great. Don't let perfection be the enemy of the good. Did I get that right? There's another one it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. The church is full of those little sayings. Anything else under promote?
This is Carol.
Yes.
So the example I'm going to give maybe can cover everything, but this will be our 4th year. And when I say us, I'm a Sister of Charity of New York, Sisters of Charity of St. Elizabeth out in Common Station, Catholic Charities, Archdiocese of New York, and University Mount St. Vincent. They're the sponsors for this year. But we've been doing, this is our 4th year, an online prayer during National Migration Week. And the way we do it is 4 storytellers, people who've experienced migration, refugee status, asylum seekers, with prayer, someone doing a prayer in between. So it's a great way to for our people who've experienced this coming to a new land, to feel welcome, to tell their story in a very prayerful setting. And the responses we've gotten from people who have attended and participated online is it's done in a prayerful, faithful setting, and we've heard what our refugees, asylum seekers have gone through. And I know some people, if Kelly's still here, I don't know, she was one of our storytellers for someone once. But that's what we've tried to do.
Great. Anyone else for promote? Yes, sir. We got one right here.
Thank you. For the last 36 years, our parish has been promoting intercultural relationships by serving food to all the families in our community, which are basically Muslim, Hindu, and Catholic. And everybody indiscriminately comes, because the Catholic Church is offering food. And on Thursdays, we have hot meals for anybody that wants to eat. And what it has done is just, we have Black, Latino, Hindus, and Muslim all coming to share with us. And so little by little, you see breaking down of barriers. So just a very simple thing that we do, and it's all done by immigrants, not by us.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else under promote? It seems to be our most rich category. Okay, well, let's get to the last one, which is actually in the title of this conference, the Immigrant Integration Convening. Integrate. Anybody have any best practices that they surfaced at their table?
Hello. I think that for integration, the first panel talked about recognizing that we're all children of God or son of God. So integrating the client's sense of higher purpose in terms of forming a goal with them and working with them. What is their determined sense of higher purpose, and integrating that in whatever work you do with them and staying true to that. So,
Great point, and bringing in the gifts of folks. Right. We had one from Chicago.
For us in Chicago, one of the things we do with the parish sponsorship program is we actually include them in different committees that we currently have. So they help us in the vetting process and the questions, especially if they've already been stabilized and they have been part of a church and been accompanied by a parish ministry. So we allow them to be part of those conversations.
Do you have any stories from that? What, like, where they made an impact?
Absolutely. One of the things that happened in Chicago in the winter, I'm sure you probably saw in the news, they were staying outside in front of the police stations. They were sleeping in tents, etc. And two of the families that we helped stabilize and were already part in being accompanied by one of the parishes, we asked them what they would do. And they said, let's make them some arepas and we will take it to them and have conversations with them. So we worked something out with the Chicago Police Department, and all of that took place in a duration of 1 month.
1 month, great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else on integrate? Any other best practices on integrate? Yes, Carol. A lot of good ideas in your group.
People from this is a Catholic Charities story, though. Catholic Charities of Archdiocese of New York. I think they still do it, but it was the most marvelous example because every year for the Feast of Three Kings in St. Peter's Church in Yonkers, there would be, I don't know, a couple of hundred migrant families with their children, and the police came. The police captain was like Santa Claus. The police came, gave the gifts. And to see the relationship with especially the day laborers, because a lot of work was done with the day laborers and the relationship with the police, and just beautiful relationships where there was no fear in the room at all, and you have a couple of hundred people in this auditorium.
Beautiful story. Any other best practices on integrate? We've got a hand up over on table 11.
When one or the people you serve can become part of your board, you can have one on your board, or they can become an advocate for each other. This is a great way to integrate them into the services that you're providing.
We've got another one over here.
So this is kind of a bigger picture, but the Office of New Americans does a really great job in integration. So they kind of promote and help push forward policy, and also on local levels. For example, in Minnesota, they have an Office of New Americans, and they work really hard with the Department of Health and Human Services and other agencies within the municipality and within the city. So I think looking into that, I think New York is also part of that, but just that's one way.
So you mentioned before you live in Texas?
Yes, Texas is not one of them.
So, well, I wanted to say, from Minnesota, do they have any sense of how many states have an Office of New Americans?
I can actually give you, can you hold this really quickly?
Oh. We can put it in Chat GPT and see what comes out. Any others while we're waiting for the data to come in? Integrate. Anyone else on integrate? Okay, we've got one more and then we'll come back.
I guess I'll chime in as a Minnesotan, but on another side of integrate that we talked about, that I guess goes back to the panel earlier that talked about parish level, when it was mentioned that there are so many feast days, that there's, you may have an English-speaking side of the parish, a Spanish-speaking side of the parish. One way that I've really seen it, at least in Minnesota, where we have a very diverse big feast days that happen for certain diaspora communities, Our Lady of Guadalupe, for example, different, apparitions of Our Lady, is actually seeing parish communities come together, both English-speaking and Spanish-speaking. You may not, know what's going on. You may not know the apparition of Mary. You may never have heard of her, but there's really an amazing promotion at the parish level to be present for communities, celebrate with them and celebrate together. So I think, when we think of integrate, I think is remembering that it's not like saying the English-speaking parish only, or the Spanish-speaking, or the African church or the Latino church is all one church. So if we can, that kind of striving for full integration is being Catholic, being universal. So even those small ways of celebrating and wanting to include, as a Venezuelan, Our Lady of Coromoto, we celebrated yesterday, having non-Venezuelans present for those, or having non-Mexicans present for Our Lady of Guadalupe, little things that for communities really mean a lot, and can really establish the culture of what an integrated and universal church looks like.
Wonderful. Do we have an update?
So there are currently 18 current member states. That includes California, Colorado, Illinois, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, North Dakota, Nevada, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Oregon, Utah, Virginia, and Washington. And then participating states that aren't members, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. So a lot of different kinds of ideas, and I wanted to ask Scarlett, you've been taking all these down and thinking about them as you go. What sort of continuities and discontinuities, what kind of themes are you seeing in all this? And come on over here to the microphone.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Scarlett. I'm also from St. Peter's. But thank you all for sharing all your ideas, all your different ways that everyone is building community, basically, in your own organizations. But I think I see a lot of solidarity. I see a lot of integration, a lot of wanting to build community past your own group, right? So people of different faiths, people of different ethnicities, different language speaking organizations. So, and just having those doors open for anybody, and making sure everyone feels included, even if they can't relate to you, even if they don't look like you. So I see a lot of that. But yeah, thank you for everything.
Thank you, Scarlett. And we heard so much about the importance of stories. Oh, Richard, please.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to make a point about the idea of integration, in that it's also important for us to understand that integration means making space for other people and who they are, and not the idea of them assimilating into who we are, right? Integration really needs to be about celebrating and again, creating that space for them to exist, and not necessarily looking for ways for them to become more like us. And that's how we integrate, because we have that freedom and that dignity now, and so we have to create that space for them as well.
Well put. I can't think of really a better place to end this segment.
We've had a very, very rich and fulsome day. And I think it's important, to the extent that we have talked about New York and New York's responses and our own faith-inspired responses. And by New York, I also mean New Jersey. I want to be clear. But without really literally any further ado, because I know the deputy mayor has to leave here at 5:05, I just want to quickly introduce a person whom I admire very much. Deputy Mayor Ann Williams-Isom, advocate, lawyer, educator, city leader, visionary, and taker on of difficult tasks. A graduate of Fordham University and Columbia Law School, and responsible for marshaling New York's resources, thoughts, creativity around the arrival of 200,000 or more asylum seekers. And as you can see, even though she's sitting in the moment, she is in fact standing very much. Deputy Mayor, thank you so much for your work, and thanks for giving us a send-off today. Appreciate it.
Good afternoon. I am from Queens, so I should remember how hard it was to kind of get out here on the Grand Central. But it was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I was like, where's everybody going? So it took me a while to get here from City Hall, but I am quite happy to be here back in the place where I was raised and back amongst you, a group of faith leaders, whether we are faith leaders, lay leaders, or whether or not we have congregations. For me, at a time like this, at times like these, it's so important to be around people of faith. When I was thinking, as Mario said, and thank you so much for inviting me, and I will be very quick because it is very beautiful outside, and so we can still go get some sunshine. I was thinking today about my literal journey here as Deputy Mayor for Health and Human Services. So I oversee all of the human services in New York City. So whether that's the Administration for Children's Services, all of the Department of Health with our 9 public hospitals, our homeless services, our benefits, our Office of Medical Examiner, and the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs. My background is that I'm an attorney. I worked in community-based organizations, but I never thought that we would have a period of time here in this way. Not that immigrants are coming to New York City. Immigrants have always come to New York City, but in this concentrated way. And I would say almost at the hand of something that wasn't meant for good, was meant to create chaos, to send people here with not the resources that they need, with no humanity, and to ask New York City, not government, but New York City, all of us, to step up. You see, my mom is from Trinidad and Tobago. She is the youngest of 14. Her mother died in childbirth when she gave birth to her. And at that time, I guess that the only thing that they could do was they literally gave her to the nuns in Port of Spain to be raised. I don't know what kind of nuns they were. They actually were they had been in the Caribbean. I think they may have come from France to different islands in the Caribbean to take care of the sick. And so when you talk about the faith-based community stepping up to support people, families, causes, my mom turns 94 next month. If it wasn't for that caring, that love, that stepping up literally, she lived there until she was 17 years old. She was raised in an orphanage, and then she decided that she was many of them were nurses, so she got a nursing career and made her way to the United States for something called the American Dream. That sits with me all the time. It means that I have a responsibility in the work that I do. It means that even though the rhetoric that you hear right now, whether or not I was in Paris a couple of weeks ago, listening to the migration crisis that's going on all across the world, you all know that, it's not just here in New York City. There were people there from Europe, there were people there from Africa, there were people there from all over talking about how you welcome the stranger. Everybody didn't have that same rhetoric of welcoming and of we have to do this and this is what we need in this moment. It was a very interesting time that we need. So it's in times like these that I go back to what is at the core of how I was raised? What are my values? What calls me to be in this moment? And yes, no, I am not, a theologian, and I am not here as a nun or as a priest, but I have a responsibility, and I have to have my faith at the center of the work that I do. It has been tested, as all of us have been tested. I have to tell you, I've been disappointed in some of the things that I've seen that have come out of the faith community. Right here in New York City, when we're trying to shelter people and trying to start to have people in houses of worship, the community has been very upset. We don't want those people in our community. We don't want those children here. There was a group of children that were making their way to a shelter after coming here on a bus from walking through the Darien Gap. And our community, that's us. We don't get to say, oh, that's not us. That wasn't us. It's us. And how do we use our voices in this moment? Not to shame people, but to invite and to welcome people to feel what we feel, what the Holy Spirit gives us every day, which is that feeling and that drive that we have to do this work. And there's a reason why to do this work. How do we continue to be the light? And guess what? A light is not the kind of person that's just throwing stones and starting fires. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that we have to, with clarity, tell people why we all have a tradition of strangers. We all have a tradition of helping. And not because we're better than and people are less unfortunate, because all of us are on this journey of trying to figure out where we need to be and are going to need help at different times. I have to figure that out. I have to look people straight in the face, whether it's at City Hall or the governor's office or whether it's the White House, and beg for resources. But then I also can't let my own self off the hook in terms of the rhetoric that comes out of City Hall, or the way that we treat people, or the way that we put people and pin people against each other. We've got to be better. And there's room for us to be better. So today when I come and I talk to you, I think about meeting Sister Norman Pimentel a couple of months ago. And I was so impressed to meet her because she's doing this work down at the border in Texas, and she's the real deal. And I had the nerve to be kind of complaining. I'm gonna be honest. I was like, 215,000 people are in the New York City shelter system. We've done 70,000 applications for asylum for people. Oh my goodness, if I count the amount of people that are homeless, the New York City is taking care of 119,000 people. The state's not giving us money. The federal government's not giving us money. We're on our own. And she just looked at me like I was crazy. She was like, what you should be doing every night is going to sleep and wondering what more can you be doing. I was like, these nuns have been getting on my nerves since I was in grammar school at St. Catherine's of Siena and in St. Albans, Queens. So I just looked at her and I was like, oh, okay, sister. Yes, I get it. I understand. She said, what more can you do? And I was like, okay, but we're trying hard and we're doing the best that we can. There's 40,000 children in New York City who are in our New York City school system. We've done over 175 vaccinations, and we are making sure that people have what they need so that they, that they're in shelters. And there's 215 new shelters that we have opened. And she said, the other thing that you need to do is that you need to go to bed exhausted every night from doing good. I was like, what? I thought she was going to be like, bless you, child, and there's a place for you in heaven, and you're doing God's work. She was like, we don't have time for that. And that has really stood with me, and it's reminded me of what I'm made of. I'm made from these really hard knock, nuns that take no prisoners and then are not here to pat us on the back, right? I'm not 7 years anymore. I'm not looking for my cup of milk at lunchtime. She's like, go do that thing that you're supposed to do. Go do that thing that you were put here to do. Go follow that passion that God has given you to be in this position at this moment. Don't complain about it. Get that work done and go to bed exhausted every night from doing good. That is my message to you all. I give you thanks for all that you're doing. You will be in my prayers, and thank you very much.
Okay, well, that means we're going to stay here until 7 o'clock. Permission to dismiss? Permission to call Bishop DiMarzio to give us a concluding prayer then, Bishop. Thank you so much, Deputy Mayor. Thank you so much. It's enlivening, as always. Thank you.
Just 1 minute of historical importance. A couple of weeks ago, I was cleaning more files out. I'm never finished as I retired. And I found a flyer from 1974 where I and some other priests and now Cardinal Silvano Tomasi got together and put a similar conference together in New Jersey for New York, Brooklyn Diocese, Patterson, and New York City Diocese. And people came. And when I look back, because, that's what started the immigrant move to the United States. The 1965 law, this was 1974, kind of got out organized by that time to say, what's the church perspective on this? When I look back and say, we've come a long way, boy, a long way. Because today, what I listen to is tremendous wisdom, tremendous experience. What we've done over 50 years, we shouldn't be ashamed of. We can do more. It's this, you know, we know that, we hear. And the heroes like Sister Pimentel tell you, do more. Don't think about what you've done. Just keep doing what needs to be done. So that's part of it. And this final prayer does bring together some of the integration issues that we're charged with, because the church is a tremendous instrument of integration of immigrants into the society and into the church. We really do it. We can do it, and we do it all the time, sometimes better than others, but we do it, and we should be proud of it and do it better. So let us pray. Lord, you have made your church a sign of the new Pentecost. Pentecost overturned the isolation of the Tower of Babel, when men and women could not communicate with one another. You've asked your church to be an integrating force in society so that communication is possible because of the universal language of love. As your people, we strive to be avenues of integrating migrants and all newcomers, not only into our society, but also your church. Give us the wisdom, courage, and means by which we can become an integrating force, as the Holy Father has asked of us, in this society and in the church in which we serve. Give us that gift. And we ask this sincerely in the name of Christ the Lord. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you for being here today. Safe home.
Thank you.
How are you? How you doing?